we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is reappointment of election officers. You want to come up, Lynn? The town clerk.
I had a sneaking suspicion that you were going to do this, Jack.
That I was going to do it?
Well, in the past, a lot of times, we just present a list of election workers to be reappointed. It's something that's required every year, so. But I thought if you saw it on the list, you might ask me a question about it.
Well, I thought maybe you could explain a little bit of the process so the general public could
Sure,
understand what's going on.
sure. It's very basic. People who we get to work elections, we have to appoint them every year. They have to be appointed between July 15th and August 15th. Why, I'm not positive, but that is the Mass state law, so that's why I'm here. And I believe you may have a list of people in front of you that need to be reappointed.
And is it primarily the same people that are on the list as have been on before?
Well, if they're being reappointed, yes. If they're being appointed, then they would be new people. Jean McGillicuddy is going to be a new person on our list.
Is she the only new one, or are there any other
She's
new
the only
ones?
new one at this time, yeah.
So if they're not being reappointed, is the list smaller this year than it was in last year?
No, I don't believe so. Oh,
Okay.
maybe, yeah, maybe there is a few less. Some people get tired of doing it, and they burn out. It's a long day to sit there sometimes to do the elections.
So
They
the-
can be 13, 15-hour days.
Is, other than the people that are on the list, is there any openings?
There's always openings.
Okay.
We can rotate people. Sometimes people aren't always available. That's why we have such a large list.
So
We don't
just-
use everybody that's on that list for every election, but
So if someone was interested, they'd contact you at the town clerk's office?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, I'd
Any
be,
questions from the board? Someone want to make a motion?
I have no questions other than information. I think the information you just gave is good, public. I make a motion, we reappoint this slate of election workers.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
you.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, for the, for the record, on the meeting, if you'd permit us to date this document and incorporate the document by reference into the minutes, please.
Good, yep.
Thanks.
Would you like me to remain here for the next
You
one?
might as well just stay right there. Appointed of new election officer, Jean McGillicuddy. So is this a new position, or is this just similar to the positions we just appointed?
It's the same as what you just appointed, and again, we have as many openings as people that want to fill them. We do rotate people, and, people do need to be able to sit there for long periods of time. I'm sure you've seen them at the elections. It's a long day, especially during a summer election in 90-degree heat. That's a difficult time, but people need to sit for long periods, and they need to be there for, a good 13, 15 hours sometimes working these elections, so.
So they start at, they have to get there maybe a half hour early before the polls
No, they
open?
they get there usually about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
So it's a good hour before the polls, because they need to set up, and they need to set up their stations, get their voter lists ready. And then they can be there a good hour or two after an election as well,
They have to stay the whole duration?
the whole duration.
but during the day, they must get breaks, right?
They do. They get breakfast. They get a breakfast break, actually, just like just a snack, and they get a couple of breaks in between, and then they'll have a lunch and sometimes a dinner as well, depending on whether it's a town election or a state election.
But it is a long workday.
It's a very long work day, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, sometimes it's actually easier if it's a really busy election than it is when it's a very slow election, because it makes the day go by slowly. But, yeah, it's a long day. Some people love it, some people it's not for them. And they have to be available during a weekday, too, for state elections, so that can be difficult sometimes, so. But that should not discourage them, because we can use people on Saturday elections as well.
But anyone that wants to do it, you'll fully train them too, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So,
Oh, we need to.
yeah. And sometimes just a refresher is good for everyone. Anyhow,
Oh, yeah.
anyone want to make a motion?
Just one question, is this a paid position?
It is.
It is a
It's
paid position.
Yep.
I think you get, what do they get paid? Minimum wage, is it?
Actually, I think we just increased it a little bit. The wardens get maybe 50 cents more an hour, or maybe even $1 more an hour now, than the actual tellers. And because they have a little bit more responsibility. They're the ones who oversee their precinct and kind of monitor the voter machines and people who have been doing it for a while.
I'll make a motion to appoint G. McGillicuddy as the new election officer.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any more discussion?
I just wanted to say, I think Jean is quite qualified.
I was going to say that as well. I think you made a good choice. Thank you very much.
Oh, we got to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Votes unanimous.
Thank you.
Town administrator search.
I'm going to recuse myself, Michelle.
Discussion and possible vote regarding Collins Center's proposed town administrator profile document. Have you had a chance to read it?
I have, and I've also spoken with the gentleman that put it together, and I am happy with what you have come up with and what he has come up with. I talked about a few of my concerns that weren't on here, but after I discussed it with Dick, he explained why it's best to go this route, so I
I had a brief discussion with the interim town administrator, and he had some suggestions. Did you want to offer them, Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may, on page 1, some of these are, grammatical changes or editorial changes. Under Town of Carver on page 1, paragraph 2, the website should say carverma.org. On page 2, a significant change. There's a statement that Carver has not placed any operating overrides or debt exclusions on the ballot since 2000.
That's right.
The State Department of Revenue does not have apparently, or any of their published data does not have a record of the town doing so, but I think we know you had at least 2 or 3.
We
the
did
town
in
clerk was kind enough to,
2011, I think.
Yeah, to track down
Yeah.
those 2 or 3 instances, septic system, schematic designs for the
And then
elementary school.
there was a non-binding one, Joe.
That was the last one,
Yeah.
yeah. So that will be changed.
Okay.
That's not a value judgment or any kind of a slant. That will be a straight change. The fact is, we have had some.
A factual thing.
That is correct. Under challenges for the town administrator, under the heading of maintaining stability and essential continuity in the management of the town.
Is that page 2?
It is,
Yes.
yes, thank you,
Yep, okay.
Mr. Ward. The 2 current members of the board it should be recused, not rescued themselves.
I saw that,
Interesting,
and I didn't even
interesting
pick it up.
twist
Yeah.
on that one, huh?
Here it is.
Yeah.
They have rescued themselves from participation.
Yeah, that was fun.
Doo-doo-doo-doo, that's a little weird.
On page 4, second paragraph, last line, just an S on the word avoid, as in avoids polarization.
Yes.
Further down under personal attributes, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet, last line. Just delete the word of between the words absolute and non-participation.
What was that again?
Delete the word of in the last line. so that it should read,
Oh, okay.
however, adherence to the International City Management Association standard of absolute non-participation in political activities of any kind is essential.
Any
The,
others, Jim?
I'm sorry, what?
Any others?
There was, well, the timelines are a little, if the board endorses this document tonight, in doing so, would you consider allowing me to try and truncate this
Yes.
process a little bit? The timelines seem a little bit long. I think we can achieve it in a shorter period of time.
Good.
As evidenced by their production of this document for tonight.
It's pretty quick.
You know, we've moved them on this as quickly as possible.
Well, we can take a vote on that, so.
Okay.
That thought occurred to me because I was thinking, we're only gonna have you here for 4 months from the time you started.
Yeah.
This process will take us past that. So,
But he can expedite it.
yeah,
He just
well,
mentioned.
that's, I would agree with that, yeah.
I think it's important. I know I've said this to you all privately, and perhaps I did so in my public interview. As long as I see a sense of urgency about filling a position, I'll cut back my hours. I've already done stuff off the clock. I don't,
Yeah.
and that's all well and good. What's important is that we make a handoff here.
Yes.
And as long as everyone is committed to a process in a reasonable period of time, I'll work with you. That's what we do.
Mhm.
You know, you won't be without.
Thank you.
Finally, Mr. Chairman, on page 7, just top of the page, Rick was a 17, not 13-year incumbent.
Oh, yes.
And when you look at the salary range,
Mhm.
when you take base wages and benefits like deferred comp and all of that,
Yes.
it was actually in excess of, the 130 range, so that's a fair number.
Okay.
I had Rick's base salary in mind when I first saw the 130,
Mhm.
until I checked the contract and then talked to Dick, so that is
His car allowance and his.
I'm sorry, what?
And his deferred comp,
Yes,
the car allowance
Yeah,
as well.
that's
Yeah.
10%, so that's, about 13, I'm sorry, about 12,000,
Yeah.
close to $12,000
Yeah.
right there, so. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. If the board is agreeable and would permit me to try and influence the timeline of this, if you give the nod, they can get
Yeah,
this
we'll
document out the door.
We'll take a vote. I just wanted to find out if there was any more changes by Helen or Dick.
No, I'm good.
How about you, Helen?
I was good.
One of you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this profile with amendments that we've talked about, and the fact that our administrator is going to work with the agency, the Collins Agency, on the timeline.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item, discussion and possible vote to broaden the Collins Center's scope of work and town administrator search process. I think I probably initiated this because when I had my interview with Dick Kobayashi, I hope I said his name right,
Pretty good. Yeah.
we discussed that, and considering that we want to expedite this process and fall within the range of the interim town administrative service here, I felt that with all their expertise and what they're able to do, it was be worth putting something on the table to discuss with the other board members. When I had gone in front of the finance committee to obtain the $7,000 for the first part of this, they discussed with me the possibility, they thought it would be a better idea to expand it out, and I think they were willing to give me the additional money. I don't want to speak for them, but, so that's a possibility as well, too. I think they meet next Monday, so depending on what we decide to do.
What would the expanded services incorporate?
Well, if you look in the scope of services
I
there.
didn't- I just got this, I didn't have a chance
Oh,
to
you
read
didn't?
through it, no.
What they'd do is if you look at, page 2 of the scope of services, it has, task 1, task 2, that's what they'd be doing for what we have them on board right now for the 7,000. Then they'd do, if we expanded it out, they could do task 3 and 4. It would still require a screening committee, but they'd have, less responsibility. The Collins Center would run, do these tasks that are in here in task 3 and 4, if you want to just take a brief moment to,
So you're saying
to
these
read them.
first two is what we're doing now, and then
yeah, you want page 2?
there's no page numbers, so
Well,
I'm
you gotta
assuming.
flip up you're in the cover letter, I think.
No, I'm past the cover letter, how the Collins system. There's no page, oh, there, okay, now there's a
sorry
page
about
number.
that.
Some have page numbers and
So
some don't.
task 1 and
Okay,
2 are
now I'm
on
with you.
page 2.
Yeah, and that's what we'll,
Yep. And then,
that's what we've engaged them for, and then
So it's
if we
basically,
expand it out,
I'm sorry,
if we expanded it out, we'd hire them to do task 3 and 4. So if you wanna just take a brief moment to read that, where you just got it, or if you wanna read task 1 and 2 as well, too, so.
I believe the first task was just, they were just going to create the profile for what we wanna see in a town administrator. And that the second step, in a nutshell, it appears that it's basically to do the screening for us.
That's right.
Am I summarizing this
Yeah.
fairly quickly?
So if you wanna flip over to the next page, you can see what the expansion would pretty much involve.
I remember when Dick came before us at one of our select meetings, he discussed 3 and 4 and told
Me
us
too.
a little bit about it. And I like the idea of going for the 3 and 4 because this is an objective approach to our search.
Exactly.
And I think that it would, to the public out there, it would look more professional and
Transparent.
and transparent, right? And we're doing everything above board. And the political parts of it would be less important.
That's right.
So
What-
I would support going forward with steps
If
3
you
and
had a
4.
chance to read it, Helen?
Yes. I just did. So the town of Carver would not be involved with the interview process at all?
Well, you'd still, if you read in here, you'd still have a screening committee that would work alongside them, but,
And that screening committee would be the town,
yeah, we would
members
appoint,
from the town.
yeah. We could
Okay, that
appoint,
makes sense.
we could still appoint the screening committee, but,
Okay.
They will
says
be
it's-
working with the screening committee, that's what I thought
exactly.
it was.
Let me read it, and then the people in the audience and, people at home can understand what we're talking about. Task 3 is interviewing and reference checking. After candidates are selected for an interview, the recruitment team will conduct more intensive telephone interviews, solicit and document references, and reconfirm candidates' interest. And the recruitment team would be the Collins Center. Personal interviews and reference checks are extremely thorough. The recruitment team will speak with employers, professional peers, and subordinates, systematically posing the same questions to references for each potential finalist. At the town's request, the center will arrange for credit, criminal history, and verification of educational credentials for finalists. At the conclusion of task 3, the screening committee will make recommendations of finalists for consideration by the Board of Selectmen. Outcome, a presentation of well-vetted candidates to the Board of Selectmen. Task 4, selection. The recruitment team will help the town plan its interview process by providing written and oral guidance. The center recommends that all candidates be interviewed on the same day or weekend to facilitate a fair comparison. The recruitment team can help structure the discussion, suggest questions, offer a format for comparison. Negotiating the conditions of employment is the sole responsibility of the town, but the recruitment team will work to clarify issues, establish a framework, and facilitate communication. At the end of the search, all finalists will be notified of the result by the center staff. Outcome, a selection for town administrator that meets the standards defined in the profile. So,
And what is the cost for the additional tasks?
7,000. I don't know if you remember correctly, but when they
It's
first made
14
their
in total.
presentation,
Seven
they
and seven.
said 7,000 for 1 and 2 and 7,000 for 3 and 4.
I think it makes total sense in the respect of a time frame. We have Jim for a certain amount of time. They already have a pool of candidates. They do this for a living. And the Collins Center is a very reputable company. And as you both were pointing out, that it would take the politics out of it.
We-
It would be very objective as to,
The Collins Center wasn't available when we first hired our first town administrator. It was established in 2008 by an act of the legislature, specifically for this purpose.
And Jack, you said that the finance committee might be receptive to this.
I think so. You
Okay.
know, based on my discussions with them.
Yep.
I almost had to like fend them off. But, so I'm anticipating a favorable response from them. So, do they meet next Monday, do you know, Jim? Is it the third, is that the third Monday?
I'm afraid I don't know that, but I do have a reserve fund transfer request waiting for them too, for the animal inspector
It is,
hours.
it's the
but-
first and third Monday, right?
Usually, but I mean, in the summer, they
Oh,
might have
yeah,
a
yeah,
summer
yeah.
schedule too,
I
so,
see, okay.
I don't know, but, so, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion that we proceed and step 3 and 4 added to the first 2 steps
There's a
of this
motion,
contract. I make
I'll
that
second
motion.
that.
second by Helen. Motion made and second. Any more discussion? You have anything else you want to add, Jim, into
sir.
the vote?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Pending, reserve fund
fund
transfer. You can draw that up.
Yep.
You can. Dick.
Implied, Mr. Chairman, for the night is that the vice chairman of the board has authority to sign on behalf of the town. This
Yep.
is signatory. Okay, thanks.
You want to read this? Or do you want, you want to read it? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I move that we enter executive session with town council pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21-3, to discuss the status of pending and potential litigation with respect to the following matters: Town of Carver v. Douglas Ladd, Warren v. Conservation Commission, Barnstable County Sheriff's Office v. Town, Great Meadow Solar Project, O'Donnell v. Town of Carver, and AFSCME v. Town of Carver. 2 of these items I will have to recuse myself for. Because discussing the matters in open session will have a detrimental impact on the town's litigating position. And I further move that we enter executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21-4, to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto with the police chief.
And should we also say not to,
And not to come back into open session.
okay, motion? Or a second?
Second.
Second by Dick Ward. All in favor, we have to do a roll call.
Helen says aye.
Dick Ward, yes.
Jack Franny, yes.
Sarah Hewens, yes.
Okay.